Well, this will be an update video. You can remember last fall, it was in early November, I think, that my son cut weeping willow branches that he has in his backyard. And I got some pretty large branches because I just decided I wanted to try to grow willow branches and try to bonsai them. Well, I wanted to let you know how that went. I did, as a matter of fact, after leaving them in water all the way here until February, I did get a little bit of roots. There were some large branches, which in hindsight I would say I wished I had cut the branch that I want to root just a little bit smaller. And you can see on this one right here, it's got the little white bumps that mean emerging roots, and in some of them there is an actual root that comes out about an inch or so. But they have been in an unheated garage. They have been very, very cold. In fact, here in Ohio, we've had below zero wind chills outside, so I don't know how that works, but willows are usually determined to root. That's why I don't think I want one in the yard. I just want one in a pot to try and bonsai. But like I said, these pieces are, I don't know, 12 and 18 inches long. I should not have cut that long. If I had it to do over again, I would start out with pieces that were only, let's say, no longer than 10 inches. Just choose a junction that I wanted or something, cut off the tops just to use as I wanted. Now these tinier little whips, they do show the white nubs that are trying to root in this cold water, and I ended up putting them all together into one pot so that those smaller ones I'll see how they work. Now yes, I do have a lot of cuttings, and I don't intend to have this many willow trees. But, you know, out of, let's say, if I have 10, let's say 5 of them survive, then I will fool around with 5 of them perhaps through this summer. And then if I have any success, I may keep 1 or 2, and then I'll find somebody else who wants the others to have for themselves. So I took these bigger branches and have planned to individually plant them in a pot. Now I'm sticking them way down into the soil and hoping that the roots will grow like continuously up the part that's under the soil. I'm not sure if that's going to happen because I don't really know that much about willow trees. But I am just going to assume that roots might grow that way, and then the part that sticks above ground, I can make that about, say, 6 inches tall, and even cut off underground 4 or 5 inches so that I just have enough to get into a shallow bonsai dish eventually. But probably, based on the way these plants are and their sizes, these may end up being in these pots all this summer and then see how they survive in the winter, because it's not something I want to have inside the house. I want to see if I can create a pot on a bonsai type level. I don't know if I'm even using the word correctly when I say I want to bonsai these, but I want to see how they'll do outside. So this is my experiment, and yes, I do intend for these to go outside right now in the soil. They will be in the cold and in the snow. We're just mid-February, so here in Ohio we're going to have a lot of cold weather left, probably snow and everything else. But those are my plans. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, let me get some more pots and we'll get some more of these planted. It is cold outside, so I didn't open the garage door. I should have set up a table, but I just wasn't quite ready for that. So I'm just kind of winging it and seeing what I can do to get these planted like this. Now these huge branches may not have been a good choice, but like I said, I got a lot of different options based on what we chopped from that tree. I got the big chunks, and then I got the little whips to try also. So mainly what I want to do is get them firmly planted into these pots, and I am thinking that as fast and as well as roots grew on the cutting that I took inside, that these should be, when we get some decent weather, the soil pot should be full of roots fairly quickly. And I'm using these great big giant pots so that I can have a big giant root ball to begin with. I think that's how I'd have the most success. Now these are the small, tiny branches, and I'm just going to put them all together so that we can see how they do. Probably in midsummer, I will pull them out of there gently just to see how the roots are forming and check on them. Now, these particular shoots right here, I think they might be Rose of Sharon, just from the way they look. I know my son has a lot of those in the backyard, kind of in the border between him and his neighbors. And so I'm going to think some of those got mixed in. And I don't expect that a Rose of Sharon is going to root, and there's no evidence of it. But why not just go ahead and put it in a pot and try it? So the small branches of willow, or at least what I think is willow, is going into the one pot. And then in another separate pot, I'm going to plant these thick cluster of branches. There's 2 of them. And I'm going to plant them just thinking they're Rose of Sharon. If they grow, they grow. If they don't, they don't. I guess I might want a Rose of Sharon. If I'm remembering his yard correctly, I think they were a real pretty bright pink flower. So I would like that if this even works. So I guess we'll only find out later when I would say if these haven't shown roots and some kind of growth by let's say April and May, when things are ready to plant, then they're not going to work. But we'll see that. And again, I am going to cut all these things a lot shorter when I see that roots have developed and I have something that I can use as a bonsai. But again, outdoor bonsai, not indoor. I do have that one little whip inside, and I'll show you that a little later. And I really do think I want to trim on those branches, the branches of the one that's growing inside. Not on these branches right now. I think they're too risky as is to do anything like that with. This is a crazy, weird thing, but I like to experiment. I like to do things, I don't know, that are kind of oddball, I guess is the word. So that's why I'm doing this. And I'll let you know how it works. Because at this point, when I'm getting ready to issue this, they have been outside, and it's been cold, it's been windy, and at least they're standing upright, meaning the squirrels haven't dug them out yet. Knock wood. Let's hope they don't. But this is going to look kind of strange out back, but people know that I am kind of weird based on the things I do. I don't care. Now these branches that I think could be Rose of Sharon, they are green. They're kind of bright green looking. You can't really tell in the video very well, but they are still green. They're not dead branches. Well, not yet. So let's hope we can do something with it. I'm not going to save them all winter and then discard them now. I guess if the neighbors could see what I'm doing here in the backyard, they would think I have completely lost my mind. But I am just an eccentric old lady. So at this point, I'm taking them right out to where they will be staying on the back patio. And I'll show you that in a minute. And that container right there that's still full of the willow water, I'm going to use that to water them because I do want to water them in. The soil was slightly dampish, but I'm going to solidify them in their containers with the willow water, and then I'll discard it. But I think this will get them more solid into their containers. So this is what they look like out in the daylight. Don't look at my hair, it's wet and moisture in the outdoors, and so mine grows on me. But if you've watched any of my videos, you know what to expect. But this is what they look like. I think they look very weirdly strange. So we've got, we'll say 2 large, 1 medium, and then a package of small twiggy branches. And then the ones in the front, I think, might be Rose of Sharon. So that's what we're working with. And then I think I may trim on my, the one that's in the kitchen right now. I have it in my kitchen window right near the sink, and the directions tell me when it starts growing the little long whips that the long whip will come out and be long, thin, and whippy, which yes, I do have some real long ones coming out, and I'm going to go in there and prune those. So let me show you what that's going to look like. Now here it is inside, and look at those long branches. Isn't that weird looking? So what I want to do is just try and, like it says, trim those off to stimulate growth. So I'm going to do that and see what happens. Okay, there's the little willow right here. And you can see how much branching I've got, but they are very long branches. See, that one comes out right at the top, but it's a way long branch, and if I'm understanding what I read, it tells me to cut those branches off. So I'm going to go in here and cut it off. That's what's left, that piece. Okay, now I'll do the same. This is a tiny one now, not very long at all. So I'm just barely going to cut the tip of it right here. And this other super long one, which the leaves have gotten old and dead and come off, I'm going to cut it right there. Okay, that's what it looks like now. And this is what's left. Sorry, I put this on the stove, or I should say the cooktop. Now, this little twig here, this tiny one that's in the pot with it, I want to see if I can get this close enough to the camera so that you can see what we've got here. I hope that you can see it's right here. There is a little green nub growing. And this one had not shown anything all year. It was like it was dead. So I am hoping I'm going to get something out of that little whip. And again, these have been inside, not outside. And we have, let me see, was there anything on the big branch? I don't think so. But anyway, this is my indoor willow. So we're going to put her back over here where she usually sits by the window in the sunlight and hope. So there she is. I hope that this goes the way I want it to go. But she will just have to show me something.